Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTEST.com, and cruising couples are in a position where they have more leverage than ever before because the competition is so stiff for boats in that category. I'm on the Riviera Yachts 46 Sport Motor Yacht. Let's take a look at the features from an owner-operator's perspective, starting with the operational features.
The engine compartment is accessed from a hatch in the center of the mezzanine deck. Let's take a look. Inside are two Volvo Penta IPS 950s. These are 725 horsepower each. There's room to get around both engines, and that's convenient because the checkpoints for both are on the left-hand side, so we've got to go outboard to check the engine to port. Just ahead, there's a 13.5 kW generator. Above that, we see the dual fuel filters for each engine. Placing them here instead of between the engines gives us better access around the engines. The fuel filter for the generator is attached to the port hand side. Just above into port, the Dometic condensers, and they're all labeled for which compartment they're for. Looking further back, I can see clearly into the lazarette area, but there are also hatches in the cockpit deck that will lead us there and give us easier access to the two pods that are connected to the main engines via jack shafts. I can also see that over to the port hand side, there's the optional power sprayer and the hydraulic pump for the hydraulic swim platform. In the center of the two pods is the Seakeeper 6 gyro stabilizer. Over to the right hand side, there's a bin for the electric cord reel. Forward of the engine and also to the starboard side are the main engine start batteries. Raw water strainers are right in between the two engines.
The main breaker panel is just at the aft bulkhead inside the mezzanine level. Just as we come into the main salon, over to the galley on the starboard side on the aft bulkhead, there's a C-Zone touchpad controller. This is controlling all the electrical on the boat, and it's conveniently located, something we've really come to expect now from Riviera. To the port side of the cockpit, joystick and engine start stops. With a symmetrical layout, there are side decks to both port and starboard. From the cockpit, two 10-inch steps leads us to the decks. There's a 10-inch cleat just aft of midships, 16 inches between the bulkhead and the rail. Bulwarks come up 10 inches, the rail tops out at 23. Continuing forward, there's another 10-inch step, and then we've got yet another 10-inch cleat. And that brings us to the ground tackle. There's a Muir windlass, cleat, leading to a roller, and then a through the stem roller housing the Ultra Anchor, 60 pounds, that's 27 kilograms, road access to both sides.
Notice that Riviera has created a sunken channel in the deck for the windlass and the chain runner to contain the mud so that it can be hosed overboard without getting the whole foredeck dirty.
There are two hatches. The one to the port houses a fresh and raw water washdown, including a pressure washdown. Nice touch, Riviera. Remote control is just to the aft side, and then to the port side, there's access to the road locker with storage just alongside.
Riviera has wisely eliminated a lower helm which provides more space below, and in a boat like this is only used when it's cold and rainy. On those cold and rainy days, just drop down the isinglass as we've done here and turn on the heat. On those days, you're going to be looking through isinglass that has no windshield washers, but you can still see. At night, I prefer to open the isinglass for better visibility. This is a small price to pay to have the added room below and to have the helm aft so we can see into the cockpit when sport fishing.
The helm console is starboard mounted and aft on the flybridge deck. The helm itself over to the starboard side, so observers will be right over on the port side, right as it should be. Panel consists of dual 16-inch displays, 12-inch are standard. There's a compass directly in line with the helm instead of being center mounted. Thank you again, Riviera. Air conditioning vents to both sides. Electrical switches are both to left and right, and they're grouped accordingly. Fusion stereo, another C-Zone controller, so we can control all the electronics and electrical systems right from this location. Windlass control, remote spotlight. Over to the starboard side, we have the ignitions, the IPS joystick, right in a position where we have full view of the starboard side of the boat. Remember, we've also got the cockpit control over on the port hand side. Just behind that, the digital engine controls, a remote control for the forward displays, and I am so happy to see that it is in a position that's accessible from the seated position. I can't tell you how many times I've seen these remote controls located between the two displays. I don't get it, but Riviera apparently does. It's in just the right position. The helm seats are from Pomponette. They're pedestal mounted. They adjust high-low, fore and aft. They have a recline feature, flip armrest, and flip footrest. There's also a molded and non-skid footrest just underneath the console. Up above there's a VHF radio, the Volvo Penta engine display, and the Seakeeper control panel.
The Riviera 46 Sport Motor Yacht has a length overall of 52 feet 2 inches, a beam of 15 feet 7 inches, and a draft of 4 feet 8 inches. She has an empty weight of 48,325 pounds, and with full fuel, 55% water, and 3 people on board, we had an estimated test weight of 53,471 pounds. With twin 725 horsepower Volvo Penta IPS 950 engines turning P4 prop sets and run up to 2570 RPM, our speed topped out at 34.7 knots. With the engine so well matched to the hull, there's really no best cruise, as the yacht gets 0.5 nautical miles per gallon from the time she's solidly on plane at 17.3 knots on up to her top speed. That's a pretty remarkable claim, and it means that her speed can be set based on both comfort level and the current conditions. That said, if we pick a mid-range level of 2200 RPM and 27.1 knots, her fuel burn was 52 gallons per hour for a range of 309.4 nautical miles, all while still holding back a 10% reserve of the boat's 660-gallon total fuel capacity. Drop the boat down to a comfortable 23 knots at 2,000 RPM, and you're now running the boat at 78% of her max revs and losing only 8% of her range.
You know, some boats, when you get on them, they just feel like a comfy pair of shoes. Those sneakers that you wear every day and they just fit, they're all broken in. That's what this boat feels like to me. It's such a comfortable size and an easy boat to handle. I really like being on this boat. Driving it, it's an owner-operator's dream boat. I mean, the systems are so simplistic. You can control everything from here with the C-Zone, so that helps. And as far as her handling conditions go, I mean, you saw me coming away from the dock. We had tight quarters there, and it was just spot on. This joystick was dialed in perfectly. We had probably a 20-knot crosswind trying to blow us off the dock, and I just gently held us on there while the lines were coming off. Once the lines were off, I got a thumbs up from the crew, eased us ahead, rotated us, out we go. Nothing to it. It was great. She has tight turning characteristics, and that surprises me because you don't usually find that in an IPS-driven boat. The pods have a limited swing of arc when you're at speed, so that tends to widen your turn, and I suppose the idea is to make it more comfortable for everybody on board. But as far as this boat's concerned, it handles more like a sport boat. When you put it into a turn, she comes around and she leans into the turn nicely, so your drinks are still going to stay nice and steady on the table. There are so many systems on this boat that are so easy to work your way around that this is so ideal for an owner-operator. It's a comfortable boat to drive, and it's also a comfortable boat to be on. But that's another video. Be sure to look for it. For now, this is my full sea trial and performance evaluation of the 46 Sport Motor Yacht from Riviera Yachts. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.